Join our podcasts, ELB Professional Languages Brazil. WhatsApp number 5586-999-7058.
Hello, this is another podcast brought to you by PLB Professional Languages Brazil. I am Ney Nunes. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to pass the TOEFL test with flying colors. Tip number 1. Familiarize yourself with the TOEFL format. Most countries now offer the internet-based TOEFL, IBT. A few offer only the paper-based test, PBT. Make sure you find out which test you will be taking before you start studying for the TOEFL. You cannot choose to take the paper-based test if your country offers the IBT. One reason people experience exam stress is because they don't know what to expect before the test. Prevent stress on exam day by studying the format of the test in detail. ETS has very clear standards about the format of their test. This is why it is called standardized test. Tip number 2. Research TOEFL score requirements. The TOEFL is required for any non-native English student who wants to go to a post-secondary school in the United States. Most people take the TOEFL in order to apply to a specific school or program. Before you begin studying, find out what the requirements are for the schools you are interested in going to. Remember that the scores for the paper-based test are different than the scores for the IBT. Some schools will look at your scores from different sections. Each IBT section is scored out of 30. Many universities expect you to achieve higher writing skills than speaking skills. TOEFL scores are only valid for 2 years. 2 years. Okay, let's go on. Tip number 3. Learn academic English. TOEFL is used for a different purpose than other ESL tests. I said ESL. The TOEFL measures your ability to succeed in an American university or college. Other English-speaking countries also require TOEFL scores as a prerequisite for admission. You don't have to know about the business world as you do in TOEIC test, for example. Instead, you should concentrate on studying language that you would hear and see on campus and in the classroom or in a lecture. In other words, you should read textbooks, encyclopedias, journals, and research articles rather than advertisements and resumes. You won't need to know any background information about certain subjects, but it will help you to become familiarized with the presentation and language used in academic material. You should also watch modern television and movies. If you have a friend who goes to an English university, go to class with him as often as you can. Enroll in an English school specialized in training for the TOEFL. Borrow books and hang out with your friends to practice your English. Tip number 4. Use practice tests. The best way to prepare for the TOEFL is to practice doing the tests. If you are taking a TOEFL class, your teacher will provide you with plenty of material. I myself provide my students with plenty of materials here at PLB Professional Languages Brazil. If you are studying for the TOEFL on your own, you will have to purchase a few key resources. Find a textbook that has exercises, vocabulary, practice tests, CDs, and explanatory answers. You might not want to work through a book from back to back. Work on the sections that you find most challenging. Don't just rely on one book. Use many books to practice different skills. You might have a book that is much easier than the official TOEFL. Look for free samples on the internet to supplement your textbooks. Make sure the question types are up to date. Tip number 5. Find a mentor. Find PLB Professional Languages Brazil. I'm more than happy to receiving students here to help them with their TOEFL exam. A reliable native English teacher or a teacher who had lived and studied abroad for a long time and knows a lot about the TOEFL is one of the best resources a student can have. You will have many questions that your textbooks can't answer for you. Frustrated students often give up. It is important that you have someone who will answer your questions and encourage you when you feel down. If you cannot afford a teacher or a tutor, find a student who has studied for the test before. Sometimes other students can give you excellent hints and help you with grammar questions. You might be able to help other students with their questions too. Teach another person is a great way to learn. If you use Twitter, search for TOEFL. You will find teachers and students to follow and network with. Join the TOEFL group. Provide support to others and share tips on finding free practice tests. Tip number 6. Build up your stamina. The TOEFL test takes a long time to write. If you are taking the paper-based test, it will take you about 2.5 hours. The IBT is much longer. You can expect to be at the computer for 4 hours. Many students have an attention span of about 2 hours. This is the maximum length of most classes. After this amount of time, performance starts to weaken. If you keep your study sessions to 1 or 2 hours, your brain will not be prepared to work for 4. Start off with short study sessions and work up to longer ones. It is absolutely necessary that you get a good night's sleep before this test. You cannot afford to be tired, can you? Okay, this is another podcast brought by PLB, Professional Language Brazil, and I'll see you next time with more tips on how to achieve a great score in your TOEFL test. This was Ney Nunes from PLB Professional Languages Brazil, and I'll see you in our next podcast. Bye-bye.